back to Post-Traumatic Thriving. I am Dr.RandallBell here with Tanya Brown. Hey, Tanya.
Fabulous. Hello.
Hi. And we're here with Fausto Castellanos.
Yay.
Did I get it?
Got it.
All right.
That's right.
Jessica Buttafuoco
Buttafuoco
would be proud of me. All right. So if you missed episode 1, go back and listen to it.
Yes.
It was, Fausto, your story is so riveting.
Mm-hmm.
And you, not only that, you are so articulate. I'm not. You are articulate in describing what you've been through, the layers of trauma. Just a quick, I don't know if I can get all the layers in, but you grew up in Fullerton. That's traumatizing. No, I'm just kidding. I grew up there too. No, you grew up in Fullerton. Your dad was just frankly kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
And your mom's sweet and loving, but she gets cancer.
Right.
You're kind of bullied. You're molested at age 7. And then again, later on in life,
Teenager.
you have epileptic seizures.
Mhm.
You are attempting suicide. You get in the drugs, and not just alcohol and drugs, but heavy drugs, a cocktail I've never heard before.
and that includes NyQuil.
Yeah.
And the liquid.
Yeah, don't miss that description. And then breaking up with girlfriends 5 times, and it sounds like you took it really hard.
Yeah.
You go to punk rock, skateboarding. That's not really traumatic in and of itself, but you're kind of trying to find
character.
Playing different characters, right? Bodybuilder, DJ, bartender, graffiti artist, drummer. Like I was just trying to find something.
Yeah, trying to find yourself.
Yeah.
And the first stage of your life was we'll get to this more later, but was God or religion any part of your life, or where did that fit in?
Yeah. So I grew up Catholic, but to me, going to Catholic, like Sunday school and doing my confession and retreat and all that stuff, I didn't really know what it was. To me, it was just, oh, cool, I got more friends. Like there's no really God in my life or prayer, any of that. And then, as soon as I didn't have to do that no more, I didn't do that. And then in high school, when I was in 11th grade, I would go across the street to a Christian church because they would give us free food. And so we'd smoke weed and go eat. That's what it was. Cool. Free food. Let's go. But so there was no spirituality or God or anything.
Okay. And so we talked about where you just kind of crashed. And if my memory's right, you were about 25 years old where it just fell apart. You were like suicidal, full on, drug addict, alcoholic, your mom's has cancer. Your dad's kind of out of the picture. You never had that father figure that every little boy wants to have. You're not talking to anyone about this built up layered trauma.
Right.
You're hitting rock bottom. This is the survive stage where you get back on your feet. So what did that look like for you at the start of your survival and getting back on your feet? Yeah.
So in October 2017, as I hit that rock bottom, right, of, like I said, 30 grand mal seizures in a month, wanting to die. Now externally it's affecting me, right? I lost a job. My mom is sick. And I'm just so broken, right? It was a scary place to be. It was so broken. And so for whatever reason it was, I reached out to a friend. I knew one person that I think he was in jail or locked up for a while. And, when I met him, he was just like a different person. You know what I mean? Like he was happy. I think he had a girlfriend at the time. He was getting married. And so for whatever reason, I reached out to him, right? I feel like he was a miracle person in my life. And again, he doesn't know any of the depth of my pain or anything, but I just remember going, oh, I think I know somebody, and he believed in God. So I called him up and he picked me up and he took me to his place in downtown Fullerton. And he read some scripture to me. And what I got from the scripture was that God gives his strongest battles to his strongest warriors. And so for the first time in 25 years, I felt relief. Like imagine having a migraine headache for 25 years. And one day someone reads words from a book and that migraine goes away. Wow. I was in shock. And when I got that perception of one of God's strongest warriors was that, are you telling me that I got abused for a reason? That I was a drug addict for a reason? I was an alcoholic for a reason? My mom's cancer for a reason? That my dad's out of my life for a reason? My depression, my anxiety, all this stuff was because God said that I was strong enough go through it to help others. It was crazy.
Wow.
And I felt this spiritual high as if I was high. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I want this.
Yeah.
I was smiling. I was happy. I was joyful to the point where I literally like skipped home, like skipping.
Yeah.
And I felt no anxiety. Everybody that walked on the sidewalk, I was like, hi. I look like that crazy guy walking around like, like, oh, yeah, he's on drugs. You know? But I was stoked. I'm walking around like, hey, let's go. High five. How's it going? Yeah. And so feeling like that, I was like, okay, I think I need to go to this thing called AA. Because see, I had this thing when I was younger where I wanted to be like drug addicts and alcoholics in movies. So when I was 16, I got in a car crash and I was happy because I was like, oh my gosh, my leg hurts. I'm going to get a cane and I'm going to be like House. I'm going to go take Vicodin. And I did. I got the Vicodin because I played the part. Oh, my leg's number 10, the pain. Oh my gosh. Here's a shot. Do you feel better? I don't. It hurts. We're going to give you this thing called Vicodin. Oh no, please don't. And I'm like, winking, right? Like,
yeah, right? Bring it.
Give me the Vicodin.
You're working it.
Oh yeah. They gave me the Vicodin. And then I was like, oh, can I get a cane? They're like, oh, of course. I'm like, yes. So there's a show I watched, Rescue Me, with the fireman. He was an alcoholic and he went to AA. So when I had that spiritual experience and I'm skipping like a crazy person down the street, I was like, oh yeah, AA. So I looked it up and I found a meeting in Fullerton. And I was like, okay, so tomorrow I'm going to go to the Fullerton Alana Club to 11:30 a.m. And, and I showed up and they asked if anyone's new that wants to share. So I raised my hand. I went up on that podium and I shared everything for the first time in my life in front of those people. And somebody said, me too.
Wow.
And for the first time, I was like, wow, I'm not alone. And then it made me realize that what God said that, yeah, everything in my life wasn't happening to me, it was happening for me because I was strong enough. It made sense right there. It was confirmed. Yeah. Because I've never felt so seen and important, like I mattered from just being vulnerable to like that extent.
I got two questions.
Wow.
One is, where did you first hear about AA? Who told you about it?
It was that TV show, Rescue Me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I was younger. That's the only reason why I didn't even know that. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know about rehabs. I didn't know anything.
Okay.
So it was that TV show that I was like, oh yeah, there's this thing called AA where people go when they drink a lot. Let me look it up. So I had no idea. I'm just like, oh, cool. There's one here. I guess I'll check it out.
And the second question I got for you is I've been to some AA meetings with family and friends that I want to support and just understand, and some people go there for years and don't share. And I'm just wondering if you have some insight as to what sets you apart from a lot of people who it takes a long time to get the courage to go share, or they share a little bit,
but not everything.
You went up and shared everything. What was going through your head, or what was about your personality that allowed you to do that?
I honestly think, because that's a great question, because that's true. People will not share for years. They won't. They just don't. I see it a lot. I think it was just that spiritual experience was so heavy. It was so mind blowing that when I said I was supposed to go through this, I felt like there was this motivation and there was like this desire in my heart to just share it all. You know what I mean? I felt so like I have to do this.
Right.
And so that's what drove me to do it. You know what I mean? So I think that's what allowed me to do it. And when someone said me too, something just clicked in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the answer to my problems. I'm feeling so good that the void that I've had my whole life just was filled. So that's that. I think that lack of self-love, that insecurity, that anxiety, that depression, that fear, all that stuff. When I noticed that stuff go away by just opening up, I was like, that was the motivation, because I don't want to feel this anymore. Yeah. And so that's why I kept on staying open. I mean, when I shared in the AA meeting, I went on Facebook and posted it all. Wow. I went on Instagram and posted it all. I went on TikTok and posted it all. Everything. Wow. You know what I mean? Like I literally went 100% on my vulnerability. And so from day one, I just put it all out there. And so I think that's why I was able to do that, which is not common at all.
No.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Very striking, very unusual, but very admirable. If you're ready for it. I'm not trying to get anybody to do something they're not comfortable with, but sounds like you were. Yeah. So you're getting back on your feet. That must feel like a whole new world. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it was for the first time in my life, I felt like my life had meaning.
yeah.
I was so excited. Like when I posted that, when I heard the Me Too in the meeting again, I was like, oh my gosh, I have friends. Like, this is cool.
Yeah.
When I posted on Facebook and people started going like, dude, like, thank you for sharing that. I can relate. I was like, okay, so it's working here too. And then on Instagram, I was getting people from different states and countries going, thank you for posting that. I've never talked about it. See what I mean? I feel like I was in a movie. I was like, oh my gosh, all this stuff is happening now. Like I felt like a superhero almost.
Yeah.
And so like it started off like that. And so every day, from the beginning, let's say like the first month was posting every day about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because all those responses were fueling me. It was almost like I didn't just have AA to fuel me. I had the world. And so I was like, okay, what else do I got to do? I got it. Because I started reading books for the first time. I never read. So I started getting into reading. And I heard this thing that like TV can be used to hypnotize you, right? Watching negativity, all these things. So I was like, oh man, I can't be negative. So I got my TV, gave it away for free right away. And then I read that when you eat meat, it gives you anxiety, fear, and depression because the animals are scared. Again, I don't know if that's true. I just heard that and I was like, all right, I'm going vegetarian. I went vegetarian that first week. And then I started watching podcasts too. And Monk said that, you know, to have that self-control, to be able to master your emotions in the mind, or the monks meditate. So I started meditating right then and there. I saw Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, Barack Obama. They wear the same outfit all the time. There's a word for it. I might mess it up, but it's like sympathizing or something. And so I said, I need to do that. So I threw away all my clothes, got the same outfit, and started wearing the same outfit every day. You know, I like dove into so much healing and recovery and trying out all these new things. Cause I was just like, dude, I got to do these things. For whatever reason it is, it's speaking to me and it's fun to me. It's almost like I've always been that person, but I just was never able to express it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Cause that wouldn't be the cool thing in school to do stuff like that, you know? So that's why I think I played so many characters to fit in, but it was never me. And so, yeah, that began the journey of surviving. And, you know, from going to meetings every week, sharing all the time, working my steps. There was just this new like light in me. And when I got to the God concept too, was easy for me because I really didn't have anything against it. I really didn't even know. So to me, I was like, man, I don't know, but I feel good. So I'm down for this God stuff. Like, so I started reading the Bible. I started reading the Quran. I started reading the Bhagavad Gita. I started getting into Buddhism. I started getting into energy, to karma, to crystal. I mean, everything. If someone told me like, hey, if you were to buy, you know, this crystal headphones and you wore them, you'll never have anxiety. I'm like, I'm buying that. That's me. I'm like, how am I going to do it? Like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I don't know if it works. Cool. Like, I'm down. So like that little kid inside of me, that curiosity, that open-mindedness to just love people and be so welcoming. You know what I mean? It was just like, it was such a fun journey doing all these things.
That's so cool.
That's so cool. You know, I'm getting a couple things out of this. One is there's a chapter in my book called Experiment, meaning when you get in the survival mode and you're kind of sick of being sick and you start experimenting. And I see that this is really a healthy example of experimenting with all kinds of things, all kinds of different, you know, philosophies, religions, spirituality, and just kind of trying it all out.
Personal
rather than shutting it down. And the other thing is that I'm getting from you is it sounds like you're waking up to your true self, because it sounds like you are always, as even just a little dude growing up in Fullerton, California, you were always just a good dude. And you didn't want to harm people. You wanted to be treated with love and kindness, and you wanted to treat others the same way. And for the first time, it sounds like you're treating yourself with kind of self-care, self-love.
Self-love.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, you're on point. Cause like it was like, that was always me, that kind, loving human that just loved people, but that just didn't know how to navigate that because of the lack of direction. So I tried going to other routes, right, to try to fit in and losing myself. But that was always there. Like punk rocker, I was a good kid. Bodybuilder, I was a good kid. The DJ, I was a good kid. Bartending, I was a good person. You know, I was always that person. Come live with us. Come stay with us. I'll buy you your food. I'll buy you this. I'll throw you a party. I'll get you the DJ. I'll do this for free. I've always been that. You know what I mean? I've always been a hopeless romantic. I've always been that funny, lovable person. All my friends' parents love me. You know what I mean? it was just, there was this pain inside of me that would get in the way. So
Yeah.
as good as I was, there'd be a scary moment at times. Right. And then I kind of like ruined my reputation in many ways in different areas of my life.
Yeah.
So now that I removed the drinking and the using, that kind, loving soul is just growing consistently now, you know,
Yeah.
and just shining and stuff. So yeah, that's what it was. And, you know, so the God thing was very fun for me, all that stuff. I mean, I even did the Wim Hof method. If you guys know what that is.
No, what
He's known as the Iceman. So he's a guy that like, it's like in negative 30-degree weather and he's just wearing board shorts, walks around and he heats his body up with his mind. And so a lot of like people did research and studies on him and they're like, he really is warm.
Wow.
And they're like, maybe you're just superhuman. So he had 12 people and you could watch it on Vice. He had 12 people, trained them just like him. It's a breathing technique is all it is. He just teaches you how to breathe. And same thing, they're all able to go in that negative, like 30-degree weather, or however cold it was, in shorts and not be cold. And now he wrote a book. I mean, he's super famous now. People go train with him at his house in Poland. Like there's big seminars with it. I mean, it's huge. You know, he's on every podcast you could think of. So me, again, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I want to do that. So what do? I buy a giant tub and I start getting 100 pounds of ice and putting in this tub. And I'm like behind, like I would go to the bar and be like, hey, can I borrow your ice?
You can just have it.
Yeah, here's the ice.
Bring it back.
I even have a picture. I'm behind like a bar by a dumpster and I'm just in this ice tub like this, you know? And like, it was exciting. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I just got high on my own supply. Like this is tight. So doing that, I mean, at 3 months sobriety, it was the first time I was ever on an airplane. I've never been on an airplane at this point. So I read a book and it says, travel alone and you'll find a lot about yourself. I said, well, I guess I got to do that.
Yeah.
So I bought a ticket to Portland, Oregon, never been on a plane. I didn't know what I was doing.
And you go to Portland in recovery.
Yeah. 3 months sober too. That's it.
Move.
Yeah.
3 months sober too. And it was so cool because I'm on this airplane, right? I walk in the airport, you know, again, I'm an insecure, anxious kid. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what happens if I miss the plane? What happens if I don't know what I'm doing? What happens if they look at me and they're like, what's this guy doing over here? Go arrest him. He looks suspicious. So I go in there and I was just, for whatever reason, I was like, just ask somebody. Just tell people you don't know what you're doing. They'll help you. Hey, where'd I get my ticket? Here you go. Super nice. Walked me to the gate to walk in. I'm like, okay, cool. That was easy. And then as I was going through the check-in, I'm like, oh my gosh, do I have drugs somewhere in me? Like, I don't know. I'm just drugs somewhere. Are they going to smell it on me? I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's funny because, you know, I'm going in, sir, take this off. Oh, I'm sorry. You can't have it, Kim. Sorry. And then we get a check. He was like, oh my gosh, I knew it. I have something, don't I? And no, there's nothing. It's a random check. And I was like, I'm good. Yeah. So now I go to the sit down and I find where my plane is. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't sit next to someone that I'm going to feel nervous around. Please, God, don't put someone next to me. I want to sit by myself. I don't know how this is going to work. How long is this flight? What am I going to talk about? Again, that's who I am inside, right? That anxious kid. 3 months sober. I don't know anything yet, how to live. And so I get on the plane and the guy's name was Luke. And I'm like, oh, that's from the Bible. This is crazy. We ended up having an hour and a half conversation connecting. Get off that plane, land in Frisco. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, Luke, is that you, God? Okay. The next plane, I'm in line. I meet this guy named Michael. And I'm like, huh. And I remember his daughter was sick in the hospital as I went, can I pray for her? He's like, oh my gosh, yes, please. Another moment, like, I was like, this is crazy. Then I get in the plane, I sit down, right? I'm like, man, this is crazy, God. Like, what's happening, right? I like this. Man, why haven't I been doing this? And then all of a sudden, a person's coming to sit next to me and they go, Fausto? I go, Dino? What are you doing on this plane? I thought you moved. He's like, I'm flying to Portland from Frisco. I was like, and you sit right here? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh. Now I'm sitting next to a friend, right? I'm like, this is so weird. So I get to Portland and the original plan when I was going to Portland, because I bought my ticket by myself, no plan, no nothing, was first to go to a buddy of mine's bachelor party, but he was going to do it in Portland. My friend invited me. That was the original plan. I was like, I'll go for a day, but I'm going to stay there longer for myself. Well, when I get there, I get the car rental for the first time. So same thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, how does this work? Are they going to pull up? Are they going to notice I was an alcoholic at one point and not give me the car? Like I'm overthinking everything. They give me the car, super easy. I drive to where everybody's at. And after like 30 minutes, I was like, I'm going to leave. It just, for whatever reason, I feel like, you know what? I got to be here for me. So my buddy, I'm like, I love you and everything, you know what I mean? But it was just, they were going to go drinking. So I was like, yeah, I need to do this. So I take off, I go to the gym and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Where am I going to stay? And I found a place and I was like, I'm going to juice and be vegan for this trip. and I'm going to read, and I'm going to go in nature. And I did that every day. And I just felt like moments of clarity were coming to my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder why I never felt comfortable in the bar. I never belonged in the bar. The social anxiety wasn't anything wrong with me. It was protecting me. You know, I started connecting all these dots, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I went to get this meditation hall. I was like, I'm going to go meditate. And they actually had a special guest person for that one day, and he happened to be in recovery. So again, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're in recovery. So we started talking. I was like, dude, this is crazy. And then just being by myself for those 7 days, it was just so incredible. Like such a crazy moment in my recovery. I come back and I was like a different person. So from traveling like that, I was reading a book a day.
Wow.
Yeah, like, oh, it's like people.
So you went from zero reading to like hyper
crazy.
reading. Yeah.
I'm still reading your book, and I've had it for how long?
That's been about 2 months. It's a boring book.
I'm just like, that takes discipline.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm reading a book a day. Like, it's insane. Cause I never read. So everything was new to me. And I only read nonfiction, mindset, depression books, codependency books, addiction books, self-love books, you know, manifestation, but everything you could think of. I was so just like, what is this stuff? I didn't even know this stuff existed. And why is it speaking to me? Highlighting everything, writing stuff in journals. It was almost like I became the book when I wrote it, or when I would read it. And it was an experience that I got, and I would take something from and add it to my life.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Dude, I got to tell you, you're like, you know, we have not had a conversation on this, so there's nothing pre-planned or scripted here, but you're like popping off with every chapter of the book. It took me 15 years of research to what you just said in about 15 minutes, 15 seconds. Yeah, because, well, let me start with this. You talked about what I call the dynamic duo. Find somebody to talk to. You don't recover from trauma as it's not a solo exercise. You can't do it. Number one. And you did that. What was the guy's name in Fullerton downtown that got you going on this path? His name?
The person that
read the scripture? The scripture.
Yeah, his name's Art.
Art. Okay. So Art was the first time you really opened up to someone, if I got that right. And the second thing is breathing exercises. You mentioned deep breathing. You mentioned meditation. And there's great research out of Harvard Medical School about the therapeutic approaches. You're doing everything right. And what's amazing is you figured this all out on your own.
On your own.
And you're experimenting with all kinds of different things. And I also noticed that you're taking your whole world and you're not throwing away the skating or the healthy stuff, you know, punk rock, you know, you enjoy music, but you're taking the garbage out.
Yeah.
You know, you're taking out the drugs, the alcohol, the stuff that's self-destructive, you know. Am I getting it?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because I removed those two things. Now I have the AA for my recovery, and all these things were to remove the things I felt inside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was almost like I was jumping ahead of the healing that most people do in recovery. Because I was like, day one, I was like, dude, I'm reading all these books. Like, what is this stuff? Like, this is crazy. I was just already like, I got the recovery, but I'm also going in deep and all my wounds and reading books on it.
Yeah.
Learning all this stuff. It was going inside.
Yeah.
It was almost like I became addicted to the internal healing because I felt it. Because I was so aware of all the pain that I have that anytime I notice a little bit of the pain go away, I was like, oh my gosh, this book's amazing. I gotta learn more.
So you're piled on with layers of trauma, and now you're peeling away the layers of trauma, one layer at a time, one book, one exercise, one person that you're connecting to. Yeah. You're peeling it away and away.
Yeah.
You know, we say, actually, when I went into treatment last year, I was like, oh, you know, it's like peeling away the onion, right?
Yeah.
It's actually Rita was her name. She said, no, it's more like peeling away the artichoke, because at the artichoke is the heart. When you take the onion and you're just peeling it, it's like there's nothing there.
Yeah, right.
But with an artichoke, it's like the heart is there. So, like, correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think that, I mean, it's good that you found like healthy addiction, but do you think that played into your addiction, like your mindset, like diving all in 120 million %?
Oh yeah. See, I believe that God will use our defects as assets in certain seasons. So God used my obsessiveness to heal for a season because it got me through that first year. And then down the road, I learned to slow down. Yeah. But so I believe that he can sometimes use that for like a season. So he was able to go, he's almost like, he's looking at me and saying, Fausto, you can't handle having a bad year right at the beginning of your recovery. You're going to lose your mind. You're very sensitive. So he's like, I'm going to just I'm going to be so visible in your life. I'm going to make miracles happen in your life. I'm going to let you do all this crazy stuff obsessively, and I'm going to protect you. And then maybe in a year, life's going to get real for you, but you'll be okay because you'll have a year under your belt.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of view it looking back. Because my sponsor told me when I had 1 year sober, I had like a party bus come. I had a photographer in the meeting. I had a videographer in the meeting. And I was like, I'm going to change AA forever because you know who I am? I'm sober, Fausto, MG, TikTok, bam, right? Again, coming from an innocent place. And my sponsor goes, man, you were so spiritually prideful. What are you talking about? He's like, I thought you were going to relapse because you were so high on life. That's good knowing. You know? So that's why I'm saying, I think.
Yeah, they call it Alcoholics Anonymous. Anonymous for a reason.
For a reason.
You don't bring in the camera.
Right.
It's like you're not even allowed to take a picture in there.
No.
That's the hard way.
No.
So,
and in fact, I reached out to somebody who is in recovery and they had to decline because their sponsor, which is great. I mean, I love this kid. When I was working at Laguna Treatment, he was there. Love him. But his sponsor said, it's not good. It's not good. Even though he has like, I don't know, a little bit over a year, I think. So I respect that. And everybody's different. You know, you and Alika, pro recovery power, right?
Recovery
Is that what
power.
it is? You guys were saying at the Magic House a couple of months ago where share out loud.
Yeah, recover out loud.
Yeah, recover out loud. Yeah. So it's like a lot of people take the anonymous very, very serious, right? But then some of you, right? You, Alika, Phil, everybody is like, hey, recover out loud, right?
I like that. I hadn't heard that one before. Recover.
I learned
out
it from you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. It's a circle of life.
Right? Yeah.
Wow. I mean, this is just so fascinating to me because I feel like, frankly, such a dumbass because honestly, I researched hardcore, talking about reading. I just read zillions of books and everything I could to figure out this, recovery thing. I wrote my book the first time around is kind of this, doctorate, telling people what to do. And then I realized I was coming from my own trauma, which was a childhood heart surgery I had. And then I had to rewrite the whole book about, we need to do this, we need to do that, because I was suffering. We all do. It hits everybody, one way or another. Although I think you got some extra layers in there somehow.
Yes.
But it's what's really like hitting me, Fausto, about your story is that when you were ready, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when you stopped drinking, you didn't go back. You didn't relapse.
I walked in once, never relapsed.
Wow.
Now that's in and of itself
mind-blowing,
amazing, because a lot of people walk in and, I don't want to be judgmental at all but a lot of people do relapse, and it takes a couple tries, and particularly in the recovery business where you don't have the AA 12-step principles, that's very common to relapse. What do you think it was about you that was able to just, put it in your rearview mirror permanently that made you allowed you to kind of do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's always changing. Because don't get me wrong, the thought still arises at times, right? Like I've thought about getting high and using still at times. I think for me, again, it's just like I really believe is that I've lived in 25 years of fear and pain, and my life is so beautiful now that because I work my program, I'm always consistent with helping people. I have so many communities, that's the thing. I go to meetings no matter what. I'm always going to do that. I love that. AA is the reason why I'm here. And, but I truly believe because I put my recovery first and I'm honest about it, I think that's why I haven't relapsed. Doesn't mean it won't ever happen, right? Because like I said, I've had times I keep myself humble with that, but I truly believe as long as I do the right thing, that I can remain clean and sober and stuff like that. I think that's the biggest thing. Cause everybody's on their own journey and stuff like that, but we know you can be clean and sober, but be miserable.
Oh yeah.
You're not doing the work. That's the thing. You can, if you're not doing the work, it's like usually the way we see it too is like your behavior relapses before you do.
Oh, for sure.
So that's what it is. So that's why for me, I'm very careful with ever putting myself in situations or doing anything shady. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Cause I know if I do that, it could be simple. Yeah. I just went on the carpool lane one time. I got away. I was like, oh my God, that was kind of easy. Oh my God, it was a bigger deal than I thought. But then I found myself doing it again. and again. And then other things too, like simple day to day. I'm not gonna make my bed. Oh, I don't need to do that today. I need to, whatever. I'm like, that one door that I opened of being, trying to get away with something created opportunity for more to happen.
Interesting.
So I caught myself and I went, all right, I'm not doing that no more.
Yeah. Just not going to go to the sketch part of life.
Right.
Yeah. Cause then when that happens, my mind will get louder. I start getting more anxiety. I start building shame. I start lying now. I'm not talking to people when I'm doing. I feel like a fraud. I'm like, oh my gosh, a drink could take this away. And that's why I'm like, I can't do this little stuff. And like people could look at it as like, oh, you're just being a scaredy cat or you're just being too much. I'm like, you know what? No, I like my life. And to me, doing stuff like that, I'm not going to let it affect my recovery.
Yeah.
Call me what you want.
Yeah. Good for you.
I love that.
Just like how you left. I mean, 3 months into your sobriety, right? Here you go to your friend's bachelor party.
Yeah.
That took some real courage to say, you know what? Like, like,
and that's what you flew up for.
I flew up for that. So basically what happened was I was the reason why I picked Portland was because of that. Cause my buddy invited me to Portland. I was like, never been to a plane, but then I was at work and it was Christmas season and someone's like, why don't you travel? You should go by yourself. Because I was talking about it. Don't do it. Go on the plane, get the ticket, just buy it right now. So it's going to happen. So in my head, I was like, well, someone invited me to Portland. Maybe I'll check that out. So that's why I chose Portland. But again, remember, I didn't even go to the bachelor party at all. I literally showed up 30 minutes of them just hanging out. And I just felt like, I just need to do this by myself. I'm going to utilize this time because I don't want to stay there and kind of just be there looking at people drink. Yeah. They were good friends of mine. I love them. Not even alcoholics, but inside it was almost like, I'm like, no, Fausto, like,
it wasn't for you.
Yeah. And it was okay. No one was mad at all. They're like, we get it. I go for it.
Yeah.
So I do that travel. I come back different. And then, I'm, jumping rope was in that project. We'll get into the next episode more of it, but I'm jumping rope too. Right. And then, my Instagram page is blowing up. You know what I mean? People are just growing. So I'm hyped online. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is cool. I'm following all these motivational speakers. I'm listening to podcasts all the time, audiobooks. Reading, constantly. Right. And I'm even showing up to where I used to DJ at. I was like, I got to show up to the DJ thing every week. And I'm going to be the sober guy in case anyone needs to talk. So I'd show up there all the time. I'm working 3 jobs at this point. I'm working 3 jobs and I'm the sober guy at all these jobs. Keep in mind, I was bartending still.
You're still bartending.
Wow.
First year of my recovery.
Wow.
Makes my head want to explode.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So was that a temptation for you or?
So when I hit my rock bottom, right, I had 3 jobs. I was working House of Blues and in the VIP section. I was bartending at Rem's Bar, which was the main bar in Placentia. It used to be called Rembrandt's. Yeah. So that one. And then I was serving at Lucky Strike.
Okay. So
House of Blues let me go. Okay. The other 2 jobs were going to fire me. I had my 3rd strike. And so I told them, I got sober right after that. That was towards the part where I got sober. So they gave me another opportunity. So the bar had me sign a contract. If you drink, you're fired. Ooh. And they had all the bartenders because they're good people. They're my friends. They go, if any of you guys get Fausto a drink, you're fired. Yeah. Wow. The Lucky Strike, when I opened up to, because we're like a family there. So when I opened up to him that I was struggling and stuff like that, which is drinking and stuff, and he gave me an opportunity. He's up, if you make one mistake, you're out. So having that support from everybody, because I was open. Remember, I was on the media. I was like, yeah, guys, I'm an alcoholic. I'm a drug addict. Like, I'm trying to stay sober. Everyone's super supportive everywhere I went. Yeah. And I was in a lot of debt from payday loans to just tons of stuff. Right. And so for whatever reason it was, because I built this whole persona of I'm the recovery guy everywhere I went. I was so open with it. I love talking about it. And people be like, man, you don't drink and you're working. I'm like, yeah, dude. I'm like, nah, man, life happened for me, not to me. I was so ingrained in this new person I was that I didn't have any cravings to drink there. And I would pray every day though. Don't get me wrong. Like, protect me. Cause I was so in tune with prayer at this point. I was like, it was like I could pray and something would happen. I'm like, oh my God, I just prayed and it happens. Like, this is cool. It was so cool. I wish it was still like that to that point, but I guess God knew only the first year I could get away with that. And so like, I don't recommend it to anybody. I only did it because those are my jobs that I had and they were family like I had there. Right. And they knew what was going on. And I was in debt. Money. Right. So I couldn't just not work. And I had no skills. I dropped out of high school in 9th grade, did independent studies, but didn't learn anything. I tried college like 3 times for film and for personal training, but I dropped that after like a week or 2. So I was scared too. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I've been bartending and serving my whole life. Right. So I was able to do that for about the first year. And I wasn't triggered at all. I was almost empowered.
You know, what's, so striking about your story is that you had good friends
support
that supported you, that said, hey, we get it. And it's cool. And you had good, it was kind of tough love with your bosses, one mistake, one strike and you're out. But they gave you that one strike and you took it.
It's more like 3 strikes I had.
Well, one more strike,
Right.
And
I like that employer.
Yeah, that's super cool that there's so many great people around that get it.
There's so many people that don't have the support in recovery. Working in recovery, these kids would come in, everybody's a kid when you're 52, but these kids would come in, no family, no friends. Literally, it's like, that's probably why we kept seeing them over and over again, because it's like essentially we became their family. Yeah,
but the thing is that your vibe attracts your tribe, and you got a great vibe. And I'm sure that has a lot to do why you attracted this great tribe around you that were supportive,
Yeah.
Another question. I'm very curious. Last year I was in Costa Rica with my brother, and I was talking to one of his friends, and she, I think at the age of something like 14 or 15, she snuck a beer or something from the refrigerator, and she was like hooked like that, like just instant loved, just had an instant craving for alcohol. Did you start out that way, or was it more, you know what I mean? Some people literally have that DNA gene
where it's like, ooh, I like this.
Turned on, or were you different?
Yeah. So, when it comes to like the DNA gene, it's always something that I've like been curious about, right? Because there's so many studies that say it's not genetic, it's more environmental or self-medicate. At least from what I've seen, because I work with a lot of people, so I almost do like my own research mentally, right? Because I'm around, like I said, 200 people I work with a week, sometimes up to 1,000 people I'm around consistently for the past 5 years. So like for me, the way I look at it is like when I drank it, I was hooked because it fixed something.
Yeah,
it wasn't that like. It wasn't like it was like a craving either at that point. It was more just like, wow, I'm fixed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love this stuff. That's what it was. I was fixed. It wasn't like, oh, I don't like how I feel. No, I loved how I felt. And the common thing, I think what it is too, what I see is either you self-medicate or environmental. I think that's the thing. If you grow up and the parent is an alcoholic maybe, or there's something going on, or maybe, but I don't think it's so genetic. I think it's more just like the environment that's created is going to dictate how you feel. And Gabor Mate says it the best. He's an addiction specialist that I recommend for anyone who is in addiction or not. He's on point. And it's that all of us that become addicted have some form of trauma, which, it could be big T, little t.
Oh, yeah.
And it's usually that disconnection that comes from a lack of love. They're not getting the love that they desire because, and I think that's the common thing you see with a lot of us. There's a missing void inside of us.
Yeah.
And that drink is, I look at it like this. We lack connection. Okay. We know that God is what fills us in connection of people. Drugs and alcohol is also connection. If you want to visit God, drink. If you want to visit God, do drugs, because God is connection. And so of course we get hooked to it. I just felt God in a sense, but when you visit, you got to go back home. And that's why we keep on chasing it over and over again. So I think that's the thing that happens. And that's why when you have that spiritual experience that fills that void, that one actually lasts, it stays with you. So now you don't need to chase it. You just allow it.
I hadn't heard it expressed that way. That's
captivating just now.
Yeah. So in the survival stage, you're getting back on your feet. It sounds like you were kind of unique. I mean, that's one way to put it. Where you like had just enough of the whole shit show. And it's like, now you're like locking into who you really are and what you really want to be. You've already attracted a great tribe through who you are at the core. What's going on with your mom and your relationship with your mom during this time?
So it's actually perfect because this is going to come up next. So when I had 8 months of sobriety, she got cancer again.
Again.
So as I'm feeling so good in life now, right? Everything is just incredible, right? Like I was high on life, like all the stuff I told you, right? And, like I said, I mean, everything's amazing in my life at this point. And then about 7 months of my sobriety, getting to 8, one of my buddies was like, hey dude, let's go on a road trip. So again, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm down. after that travel to Portland, like I'm down for a road trip. I've never done that. So we're going to drive to Houston, Texas. We're going to go on a trip for like 10 days and go to like San Diego, to New Mexico, to Arizona, to San Antonio, El Paso, Houston he's going to do a bodybuilding show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dude, that would be so fun. Again, I saw it as like, thank you, God. Like I've never done this. It'd be fun. I've never done this before. And literally I was going to fast for it too. I got into fasting. So I was going to do a juice fast for the whole trip. So, I'm pumped. I'm happy. And the day I'm leaving on this trip, my mom goes, hey, I got to talk to you. Yeah, what's up, Mom? She goes, I got cancer again. And I remember I went, what? And so then, I go to the restroom and I'm like sitting there and I'm like, what just happened right now? And I remember thinking like, God, why would you do that? Everything's been going so great. Like I'm making it up to my mom. I'm paying her bills. I'm taking care of her. I'm taking care of my sister. I'm clean and sober. Like I was supposed to make it up to her for everything I put her through. I want her to see me thrive in life, and I was like, you just gave it to her again. I was so confused. But my mom, my mom's very strong when she's like, you know what? Well, they just did that. We're going to figure out how bad it is. We don't know. They just said they found something. We don't know how bad it is or anything like that. She's like, go on your trip. I'm fine. Like, she's like, I don't feel sick at all or nothing. I go, okay. So I go on this trip with my buddy, we're driving there. I'm just like sitting there. He goes, what's wrong? I go, dude, my mom's got cancer again. And what's crazy, he goes, can I tell you something? He goes, my mom had cancer when I was a kid and they said she was going to die. And he's like, I remember being a kid so scared. And he started crying. And so what happened was like, God kind of used that as a way for me to find comfort and have somebody to talk to on this trip. Cause I was nervous to go on this trip. What are the chances that I find that news? I go on this trip with somebody whose mom had it, and to the depth of, he would tell me the story. I was like, oh my God, it was really bad. When she made it. And so it kind of brought me comfort. And I felt like, you know what? I'm going to be there for my mom. That's what this is. I get to be there for her now because I wasn't last time. Now I can show up.
Yeah.
And so,
true.
So after I got back from the trip, which was super fun, it's so cool to do that. And I did juice fast 10 days. And then I did the spiciest burger in the world challenge. So I have this thing. Part of my story is I'm addicted.
You're addicted.
I'm addicted
period.
to spicy food. Like yesterday, I had Carolina Reaper chilies, the hottest chili in the world. That's just me. But I was like, I can't go to sleep. I need to eat chili.
You are so funny.
That's me. So, yeah. So me, I'm already the spiritual Fausto. I did a 10-day fast. I'm in Houston. I'm in San Antonio. I'm like, I want spicy food. I was just trying to look for Mexican food at this point, and it's like spiciest burger in the world, man versus food. I want to eat that. Yeah, I got God in my life. We can do this. So we get to this place called
talk about suicidal tendencies.
Yes.
Seriously.
Exactly.
I was just in Houston 2 weeks ago and I tried some of that and I put too much on my taco.
Oh,
it was a near-death experience. It's seriously, it's wicked stuff.
So I get this burger from Man vs. Food. God. It's called Charlie's Burgers. You can look it up. And I get there and I haven't ate in 10 days. Remember that?
Oh my God.
Ouch.
That just made my belly hurt.
Right here.
So I get in there and they're like, you got to sign this waiver. You got to wear gloves. All this stuff.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Me, I'm like, man, you know who I am now?
You have to wear gloves?
You wear gloves. Yeah, because they'll burn your fingers, your skin.
It's really nasty.
So I get the burger. You have 20 minutes to eat it. You can drink water while you eat it, but once you're done, you can't drink anything for 5 minutes. So I was like, okay. So first bite, right?
What do you get if you do this? What's like your
picture on the wall?
Hey,
Okay.
And it would have been a cool, it would have been an amazing story, right?
I want a trophy.
I was like, or $500.
Anyway, okay, so
or
go
whatever.
ahead. Yeah.
So you're right. We're sitting there. I had because I do video work too, right? So I always had a camera on me because I document everything in my video.
Yeah.
So my buddy has a camera. Everyone's like, yeah. I'm like, we got this. First bite. Boom. I'm like, hold on. I can't stop hiccuping. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening right now? What's happening right now? I was like, I can't even bite one time. I can't stop hiccuping. And then I'm like, okay.
Is it a sauce?
Oh, it's habaneros, it's ghost peppers, it's like Carolina Reapers, it's jalapenos, like a handful. And then they get extract, which is the hottest form of a chili. It's like pure extract. It's like an oil or liquid. And they just dump a whole bottle on it.
Imagine going to the dentist and they open you up and they just light a blowtorch.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's like a blowtorch in your mouth. And then goes down your esophagus. It's just
And you haven't eaten in 10
It's 10 days. So after
God.
after the first bite, I couldn't handle it. Then it went away, and I was like, "Let's go!" And I start eating it like crazy, and I finished the whole thing like in about 3 minutes. But chilies fell out, and I'm dying at this point, right? That's why I ate it fast. And they're like, "Sir, you have to eat those chilies right there." And at that point, I'm like, I was like, my whole everything's burning. I've never felt this before. This is worse than anything in my life, right? I'm like convulsing. I'm like, I said, and I'm trying. I just couldn't. It was so bad. I didn't know what was happening to my body, and I was like, I can't. So I grabbed the milk. I start chugging the milk. I don't finish it. I'm like this chugging. I'm like, trash can, I need more milk or water. Like throwing water on my face. I'm like dripping sweat like this. All these people are eating around me. I grab the trash can. I crawl to the dirt. It's like in the countryside of it. And I'm just throwing up like crazy white stuff, like dripping sweat, and it burns to throw up. It's not burned. My eyes are burned. I'm crying chili tears. Like I'm just like dying there. And I'm just like this dying. My friend's filming it. I'm like, man, I wish I was that guy filming this. And then I'm like, after about an hour, I'm like, okay, I think I'm good. Let's go to the hotel. Okay, we did it. Yeah, man, that was easy. Yeah, it was easy, man. Come on, I got God in my life. Check this out. This is where it gets even more intense. We get to the hotel, right? And the next day, we're leaving to Houston from San Antonio. That's the day he's gonna go get ready, right? So he's laying down. I'm like, I'm gonna order a pizza. I need to eat something, right? So I order a big pizza. I'm sitting there in the hotel, laying down, like, man, that was crazy. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh. I felt like somebody had a knife and was stabbing my skin inside. I didn't know what it was. So I run to the bathroom. I was like, man, I gotta go to the restroom. I'm trying to go to the restroom, but it was so hot, I couldn't let it out. I screamed. I was like, oh, fuck no. I was like, holding it in. I was like, I can't do this. I was like, what's going on? So now I'm like holding it in. And I'm like, what do I do? I'm so scared.
They get you coming and going, baby.
So then I put my finger down my throat to throw up. And when it comes out, that's too hot. Oh, no, I can't do that either. So I'm holding it all in. And I'm like shaking. My body starts getting like paralyzed. I'm curled up in a fetal position. And I'm just sitting there like, I can't go to the bathroom this way. I can't go this way. It hurts so bad. What do I do?
Oh my God.
And my buddy goes, are you good? I'm like, and I was like, dude, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
You got to go to Houston without me. 6 hours go by. The same thing. I did not move from that bathroom screaming in pain for 6 hours.
Oh my God.
So I literally was like, dude, I think you got to call the ambulance.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Oh no, it's seriously like
I'm gathering.
pain.
My gosh.
I had my one little bite, and I was in a really posh restaurant, which was attached to a convenience store, a gas station. Literally, I mean, this was like a truck stop. You think where I did that, and I bolted out of my seat into the convenience store, grabbed a gallon of milk, just gave the guy the credit card, and while he's charging me, I'm just guzzling it. It was, and I just had a tiny bit. I didn't do the whole burger thing.
Oh my God.
It's awful.
You guys are crazy.
It's awful.
Till this day, that's the worst experience of my life.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
After all the drugs, the alcohol, all of that.
Nothing. This is
Oh no.
That's
And
the
it's
worst.
self-induced. That's yeah.
the crazy.
It's like I got on my side.
Oh, that's painful. And it's funny you come bring this
Oh
up.
my
This
God.
happened to me just like 2 weeks ago.
So it's recent.
Just recently.
Yeah. I'm just getting over the trauma, and then I'm by our guest. Yeah.
Chili trauma podcast.
We're going to call it post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? The person who created the hottest chili in the world, Carolina Reaper, he's in recovery. Because he has a world record. He ate 17 or 16 in an hour. It's a record. He created the chili. And they go,
Wow.
What made you do this? He goes, I wanted to get high somehow because I'm an addict. So I created the hottest chili in the world to eat it.
Okay.
So that makes sense. I like it too.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Yeah, and people don't realize
So
the
funny.
anecdote is milk, but
Yeah.
it sounds like you jugged a whole bunch and it didn't do it.
It was the worst pain of my life.
Oh my
I know.
God.
I thought I was going to die.
Totally
Wow.
believe it.
Oh yeah. Like
Totally believe
I
it.
accepted death at that point again. I was like, I'm going to die from chili.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to die from meth or crack. I'm going to die from eating a hamburger.
Meth and crack or nothing, baby.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
But then once I got back from that,
Oh.
and I saw my mom, again, I feel like I can be there. But what happened was maybe a couple weeks later, I get a call from my sister at work. She worked at the Brea Mall. She goes, Fausto, you got to get to the hospital. I'm like, what do you mean? Mom fell out at the mall. She came to pick me up and she just collapsed.
Oh no.
This is when she's on chemo, right? Like she started treatment. She's on chemo. And they cut off her second breast. She's on chemo. And that's when I freaked out. Cause I was like, oh no, like, is she going to die today? And I remember driving, I had 9 months sober at this point. I'm driving to the hospital and I'm just freaking out, crying and angry. I'm like, God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Why? No. I thought she was just going to get cancer and we're going to take it slow. Why did she fall out? What happened? Is it her heart? Like what's happening? And then all of a sudden I felt this sense of peace come over me. And it's like, hey, just be there. Hold her hand. And all of a sudden all my fear was gone. And luckily, you know, she did survive that. She's still alive today. But it was cool. I felt crazy that I felt comfort and a peace of mind. Like I can be there for my mom. And I was in the hospital with her all night, held her hand.
Yeah.
You know, so that happened. Again, I'm still on the first year, a lot of stuff. This is all the first year we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay on this because a lot happened. So I was able to, after she got back, I was able to, again, like I said, I paid the bills. I took care of her. I hung out with her. You know, I never came home drunk or high. Right. So, you know, I know for her, she really valued that.
Oh yeah.
But don't get me wrong, it was hard too. Cause again, I was like, oh my gosh, now things are happening in my sobriety, but I can't run away. You know, so there's a lot of prayer, a lot of support groups that I had in my recovery. And again, I put everything out there. So even my social media followers are supporting me. Facebook followers are supporting me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything is documented from everything that I did. And then, you know, so with that, you know, all that support really helped me into that. And then, of course, and then I met the love drug again at 8 months sobriety.
Uh-oh.
But see, so just check this out though. This is good too, because I went celibate the first 8 months of my sobriety. Because that's when I discovered, I'm codependent. I never heard of it till I got sober. Everything I started to identify with when I got sober. Oh, I got social anxiety. Oh, I'm shy. Oh, I'm codependent. Oh my gosh, I have trauma. Oh my gosh, you know, like I'm awkward. All this started becoming aware because I'm reading all these books and being sober. And so I went celibate the first 8 months. And again, I'm not telling people to do it that way, but I found out because I was sexually abused at such a young age, love to me was sex. That's why I would need sex, because to me, sex was, I'm not gay because I was molested by a guy. I'm not, I have to have sex to block that. So if I don't have it, this is what it means. As a kid, I'm thinking that, right? And then sex meant they love me. And if the girl I'm with doesn't have sex with me, then I would find myself blaming them because really it's me, right? But you know, I'm like, no, I'm trying to no, you don't understand. Like I care about you. Why aren't you doing this? Is it me? All right, what are you trying to do? I started becoming this crazy person, you know, because I thought if they didn't give me that, that means they don't love me anymore. So what's wrong with me? So you know, this whole fear-driven thing. So I was like, if I go celibate, maybe I can see the thought patterns that arise. And that's where I discovered those things. It showed me that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this makes sense. I was like, okay. And then I got motivated with it too. Now I'm like, I'm celibate online too. Like everyone's like, dude, what are you doing? You're like a different person. All these things you're doing. Like, celibate too? Like what else?
Yeah.
But it was great because I was celibate. And again, it wasn't easy, but because this is how life works. When you change your life and you want to do something different, the things that you used to like come into your life all of a sudden. So girls that I would have crushes on would come into my life. Hey, Fausto, hey, you look good. I'm like, me? In my head, me? I'm like, I was like, oh my gosh, what'd I do?
Bye.
What'd I do? I'm supposed to be celibate right now. What'd I do? And I was like, oh my God, I got it. I'm going to say that I work too late. Yeah, I work late tonight. It's okay. I'll wait. Oh my gosh. No. What do I do? You know what I mean? So I had a lot of challenges coming in my life, but when I would say no to it and walk away, actually, that's when I knew something's changing in me. I would have never been able to do that. And that motivated me. I was like, whatever I'm doing with the celibacy is helping me walk away from things. But at 8 months, I thought God sent me a girl because she likes cats. And I've never seen her in a meeting. And she had tattoos. So I was like, oh, this is the one. Which luckily we dated for maybe about 2 months. But I was able to walk away from it. And I was like, that's crazy. I saw things that my sponsor warned me about, but I was able to walk away. I was like, wow, that's the first time I've ever been dating someone and walked away. So again, I was like, wow, something's happening in my life.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. Because you know what you see in AA when you meet a girl, what you see on the second date?
What you see on the second date?
Yeah. What do you see on the second date of someone you meet in AA? A U-Haul in the driveway.
A U-Haul in the driveway?
Because people hook up way too fast. And what
Hey,
I had a blonde moment.
Just to prove him right, I moved that girl within 2 weeks of my house.
What's that?
I moved in that girl within 2 weeks of knowing her. And then I had to figure out here.
So U-Haul in the driveway.
Thank you. Okay, so before we go to U-Haul, one thing that of your story that really strikes me as a parent is that I'm sure through this whole fiasco, which we've been through, fiasco is probably a stupid word. But anyway,
fiasco.
Yeah. Your mom and your sister must have been really through the meat grinder of emotions, watching you, struggling with all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I'm sure that your mom and your sister were just over the top. Elated isn't even a strong enough word to see your recovery and your kindness that you showed your mom and paying bills.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a lot of love for a son to show and a brother to show their sister and their mom.
Being present.
Their reactions must have been really glowing, I'm guessing. I mean, do you want to share a little bit about how that relationship grew?
Yeah, that gets me emotional, right? That's like that's the one thing that gets me emotional. Is my relationship with my mom and sister. It's like, cause I stole from my sister. I used her financial aid money at one point in my addiction. I threatened my mom to give me money, buy me a car, buy me this video camera. I'm going to kill myself if you don't give me this money. I stole some stuff, Mom. I got caught up. I need money or they're going to hurt me or something. She gave me the money. She got me out of everything. When she lost her job when I was 21, right before she got canceled the second time, cause we didn't have money. When I look back at life, my mom made maybe $1,300 every 2 weeks, if that, taking care of 2 kids alone in Orange County. That's not a lot of money.
That's rough.
You know what I mean? So, and I didn't know that really too much until I got older, but when she lost her job and she got, like $50,000 severance, that's it. That's nothing. Right. I used that money to buy me a car. That's her severance money. Buy me this, buy me that. I need this, getting drug money, doing all this, getting myself out of all this stuff. To the point where when she got cancer the second time the third time or second time, when she got cancer the second time, I think was after she lost her job. So now she couldn't go back to work. So now we have no money. And a lot of it was my doing, doing this stuff. You know what I mean? That wasn't right. And so when I got clean and sober, to be able to like help them out with these things, that's the least I can do.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's times where I was a little bit pissed off. I was like, damn it, I can't move out with my friends now that I'm clean and sober. I can't do this. I can't do that. Oh God, I don't want this responsibility, or, this is why my dad should have never left, or this is why I wish, why did my mom have to lose her job? Certain things, cause I was like, and then not having money and not having a sub was very emasculating, but I would always kind of like, I know this is the right thing I got to do, and so to be able to do that for her has been the most important thing for me.
Wow.
Nice.
Me and my mom are really close, like really close. My personality is for my mom, so you can imagine it's funny. And then when I had a year sober, my sister said, I love that you're sober and you help out a lot of people, but you don't help out me. And I started crying because I realized that I was saving the whole world and not being around there for my sister. Because my sister doesn't have the bills, right? My mom, because I'm my mom's son, so she sees it differently, right? She's happy. But my sister, I totally forgot too. I'm like, I've been with the same guy for at this point for 4 years. I don't even know him. And we live together. What kind of, come on. And then thinking that my sister goes through probably sadness and, hurt feelings and confusion, and I'm never there. And so when that happened, it really hit me to be there for my sister more, showing up to her graduation, going to her birthday parties, talking to her boyfriend, her now fiance, hey, Fausto, can I have $20 to get this? Yes. Here you go. Can I have another? Yes. Here you go. Hey, can we go out to eat? Yes. Hey, Fausto, would you mind helping? Yes. You know what I mean? Just being able to do that. I don't even care to the point where if I don't have any money, I don't care anymore right now. If it's my mom, my sister, take it. You know what I mean? I've taken so much for you. Luckily, I don't care about materialistic stuff. I really don't, never have. So that's kind of a blessing where if I do have money, I'll give it to them. So to me, it's something, I still take care of my mom.
Yeah.
I'm actually moving back in with her for a couple months to help her out because my sister moved out. And I didn't want my sister to be in my position because, you know, like to feel like she needs to help my mom out. And I want her to have that freedom. No, you know what? Go move in with your fiance or this family. I want you to enjoy. You just graduated college. You never did drugs. Go for it. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm going to help my mom out right now again because I know she has an empty nest syndrome now. Now my sister's gone. You know, now she is depressed. You know what I mean? She does have arthritis. She's having fogging of the brain. You know, I see it. The loneliness kicking. I see I'm aware of it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
yeah.
again, it's the hardest thing. When my mom cries, it's the one thing I can't. I just like, oh my God, I can't handle this. So I'm going to help out some more. And it's, you know, and it creates things because I'm like, okay, I'm about to move back to Irvine. So I'm gonna have Irvine rent on top of taking care of my mom's rent. On top of, I know my mom's gonna need a car soon. I can already see it happening. I need to get her that. I need to help out with groceries, this and that, you know. And it's like I have my car payments. All I'm like, oh God, I got to make more money. I figure something out. But it's like I will never stop doing that.
Yeah.
You know, my whole goal in life is to make enough money so I can walk through the doors. And I try to visualize it. Walk through the doors, look at my mom, me be crying, and look at mom and say, Mom, you never have to worry about money again. Just so she can at least enjoy the rest of her life stress-free from money.
Yeah.
You know, that's it at least. Because, you know what I mean? If I can at least do that, add that little less stress for her. So whatever life she has left, she can enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's everything to me.
Yeah. That is really beautiful. And more important, and money's important, but the fact that you are a wonderful son, you can't buy that with money.
No, you can't.
That's just really, really touching.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm glad I asked that question.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah, that was good.
That's the artichoke heart right there.
Right.
And you know, it's funny too. That's always been like such a hard thing with me to, in my mind, I'm like, what kind of girl would want to be with a guy that still takes care of his mom like that? Where like we have that relationship, right? My mind would think that because I would be with some people that I've dated or you know, was intimate with, and like, they'd be like, why do you take care of your mom like that? Like, they need to figure it out. Like, you know, you can't always feel like you need to take care of her because of this and that. She needs to figure it out, change her life, do this, stop being a victim. You know what I mean? And it's something that just irritates me because it's like, you don't understand the relationship, how my mom, what I put her through. You know, you didn't know me, who I used to be, what I did. And it's sometimes it could stem from someone just doesn't know, or the way they were raised was like, no, when your parents, when we get old, we're going to take care of our stuff. You don't take care of us.
Yeah.
You know, some people live like that. So some of that stuff would always mess with me because there's really nobody in my position of my friends.
Yeah.
That's the thing. No one's in my position when it comes to the mom, dad. They have their dad still, or, you know, they have money. So they don't have that dynamic. So it's always hard for me to kind of like, am I doing something wrong? Am I doing too much for her? Am I being codependent on her or people pleasing her? Like, I don't know. I'm so confused, but it's expensive out here. So technically I don't, it was, you know, it's really hard, but then people would say like what you just said right now is very healing. Cause I've heard that from certain people, dude. What you're doing is not normal for what sons would mostly do. So the fact that you do that shows like where your heart's at. Like that's
it's just character.
Yeah,
it is. It's character.
I mean, some people have it, some people don't.
Yeah.
And, you know, for those who are chasing money, my hope is they get it and they get a lot of it fast. So they find out how unsatisfying it is. Because the stuff like what you're talking about, like I said, money can't buy that kind of character. It can't buy the joy and the, just that whole
peace,
rich experience. It's really touching.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And I'm sure, I mean, you know, it sounds like she's in a tough place with what she's been through. And I think it's super cool that you recognize what you put her through.
Yeah.
And now that you're more than making it up and just forming that wonderful bond. And yeah, some people won't get it, but that's not your tribe.
Right.
The people that will get it are the people you want to connect with.
Exactly.
Exactly. Because I think any person, you know, girlfriend or anybody would say, hey, that's
a nice thing.
That's legit.
Yeah.
That's the kind of character, you know,
that's a person who I want to be with.
Hang with.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, I took care of my mom and my dad, and no money in the world could ever replace that.
Yeah.
Not $1, not $1 million.
Yeah. In a million years, you won't regret that decision. That's for sure.
Not at all.
Wow. So your survival, getting back on your feet is, and we haven't even gotten to the thrive stage.
It gets wild.
It gets wild.
Yeah.
Well, that's always my favorite stage, but this is really, I mean, you're the age of my oldest son, but I'm learning so much from you. That's so cool. A little late, better late than never. Yeah. Okay.
Your story is amazing.
It sure is. So anything else on the survival mode until we move into thrive?
I'm trying to think. Because what I was trying to do is just focus on the first year and like, and to connect everything. Because I'm trying to think, did anything else happen the first year? Traveled, read a bunch of books, did the Iceman, meditating,
Hot peppers.
Hot peppers,
Near death experience.
wearing the same outfit every day. Man.
It's funny. While you're
Celibacy.
thinking that over, you grew up in Fullerton. So did I mentioned, and I don't know if you knew this, but Leo Fender lived in Fullerton.
Who's Leo Fender?
He invented the electric guitar, Fender guitar.
Oh, Fender.
That Fender.
Yeah, he lived there?
Yeah, he sure did. My dad worked for the company. It was on Raymond Boulevard.
Wow.
Yeah, and Leo lived 2 streets away from us. My dad worked for the company. But Leo, I wrote a book with Mrs. Fender, and the title of the book is hard to remember. It's called Leo Fender. And I got leofender.com. I'm a Leo Fender nut. But I'll tell you something. Mrs. Fender said that Leo's big decision in the morning was to put on a white shirt or a light blue shirt. Everything else was the same. Black slacks, black shoes, black socks, black belt.
Different color shirt.
He wore the same thing every day. His only decision was white or blue. And you know why he did that? He didn't want to waste time figuring out his outfit.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But he was so dialed in, a lot like you, very focused. What I'm noticing about you is that you're very focused. You know what you want. Whether it be cocaine
or a hamburger
or not cocaine
or chili, cocaine or chili. Pick your C.
Yeah.
I get both.
Okay, or chili.
both.
Yeah. But just this really dynamic focus, which is really a trademark of really successful people.
Yeah.
Don't get in their way because they see what they want, they get it. Leo was that way. All us Fullerton guys need to stick together.
It's the secret. Because you think when I studied it, because I love learning something but applying it. I want to see how true it is to me. And so when I started wearing the same outfit, the things I discovered is this: one, nobody cares what you wear because no one recognized I wear the same outfit.
Yeah.
I'd be months and I'm like, you guys know I wear the same outfit. They're like, you do? I'm like, what? It's crazy. I'm over here thinking everyone's looking at me. None of you guys are looking at me. 2, I got to the point where I was like, holy crap, I don't even remember what it feels like to think about what to wear anymore.
Yeah.
I totally just removed that because I know how I am, right? What am I going to wear? Maybe this, maybe that, maybe this too will go too. Okay, maybe I don't know how I like. It's wasting.
Yeah.
And they say when you wake up, you're the most creative you're at. And so there's this thing that said you have about 10 creative decisions a day. Let's just say 10 good ones. And if you wake up worrying about what you're going to wear, you're wasting about 3 to 4 of those decisions now. And so by the time you try to get creative with something, you're already burnt out. So I was like, I want to remove that from my life. And for one, it saves me money.
Yeah, for sure.
And then 2, I saw that. I was like, yeah, dude, my morning routine now is better. I can make my bed. I can pray. I can, vape or take a shower or listen to music or just get up and leave. I'm like, all right, I got to go. Bye. Yeah. It just removes that. And it's been life-changing for me. Like you said, sometimes some of the people who think the craziest are the people who actually make a difference in the world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
For sure.
So what advice can you give a girl when it comes to wardrobe?
That's a bunch of black t-shirts.
that one I don't know how to do that one yet, right? I can see why
I'm not going to dispense advice to women
right?
about anything more like dress.
I only wear the same earrings and the same ring and the same bracelet. You'll never see me wear anything else. Other than that, I'm a mess.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. And I got some clients who are zillionaires, and I notice a lot of them have the same thing. They'll wear the same thing over and over again. They just don't care. Yeah. And that's the thing. They figure out what their thing is and they just do it. And they really don't care what anybody thinks about it. The people that worry about, what others say about it, they're the ones get tangled up and wrapped around the axle and don't go anywhere. The ones that just say, hey, this works for me.
I'm going to stick to it.
I get that from my kids all the time because I have believe it or not, I have some weird
quirks.
Yeah.
Routines.
A lot of them. And my kids are, Dad. And it's like, I just don't care, So anyway, so anything else on your survival mode? Have we covered it or anything else you want to share?
I would say like the last thing really to share on it was just like, like I just want to state too, like the 12 steps is what was the guiding factor to keeping me clean and sober to explore these aspects of my life for the addiction aspect, right? Like those things, because it gave me a way of living, right? To one, admit I have a problem. Two, to come to a place to believe a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. Surrender to God on a daily basis. And, the 4th step was the thing, which I think is powerful, what taught me. Write out all your resentments, write out all your fears, write out your defects of character. And, it was the first time to write it down. I was like, okay. And to share it with somebody one-on-one to that depth of it, one-on-one to more in depth and over. And when I was able to see my part in everything, it was liberating. So I think doing that step too is a lot have to do with why I look at things that way. To be like, okay, so yeah, I got cheated on a lot, but my part was I was an addict. I lied. I manipulated. Like, yeah, I don't know why she shouldn't have stood with me. Like, I wouldn't. Oh, I can forgive her now. Okay, the trauma, that was deep. How do you forgive somebody who sexually abused you?
Yeah.
So what I did was, maybe your part is just you holding on to it. Yeah, you didn't have a part necessarily in those sex, but you are still holding on to it. Look how it's affecting you. I said, okay, I can work with that. So then I was like, wait a minute. He was probably sexually abused, molested, never got help. He's under the influence of these drugs. I know how it made me think, but I got help.
Yeah.
Hurt people.
Right.
Yeah.
I can forgive him. That was huge. Because that's what helped me begin to forgive everything that first year from my past. To my dad, to the abusers, to my exes, to people in my life, to myself. And it's, again, people can look at it in a crazy way, like, because I go, yeah, I pray for my abusers that they have a blessed and beautiful life. I want them to be happy. What I want in my life, I want them to have the same thing too. You know what I mean? I can't hold on to that stuff because what you don't forgive, you become.
Yeah.
Because you carry that pain and it comes out of you, whether you like it or not. I saw, like, I don't want to ever become the things that I've hated in my life, because I did become just like my dad in many ways. And I said I would never be like my dad. I see that a lot with people. I'm never going to be like them. You act just like them. Why? Because you hate them. Whatever's in your heart is what you become. So hate and love is the same thing in a sense, right? When there's love in your heart, you receive it. You have hate in your heart, you receive it. So clearing all that up with that 4 steps, seeing things in such a different perception was huge for my survival, because that allowed me to heal from those things. That allowed me to begin the healing journey on the traumas and letting go of my dad and all that stuff, So that was a big one for the survival.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. But I got to say something and that is, you're talking about your dad.
Yeah.
And how he neglected you and didn't give you any of the moments that little kids crave for. But whether it's your dad or anybody else that you see that's in their various ways abusive or neglectful, they've often 95% of the time have been through a trauma themselves.
Yeah.
And what I gotta disagree with you a little bit on is I don't see that in you. I think you've made a very conscientious, deliberate decision, choice to end that multi-generational garbage with you. I don't know about your grandfather their father going back in time, but usually there's this multi-generational trauma. And you're the golden one to come along, the golden child to say, stop. It's not going in to the next generation.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing.
Broke the cycle.
And once I got getting clean and sober and changing my life is breaking the cycle. But it was before that, like when I was wasted, that's when I saw my dad in me. The same aggressiveness, yelling, never physically abusive, but aggressiveness, yelling, fighting, screaming, the way I was treating my mom, punching holes in the walls, screaming, flipping my mom, fuck you, all like this crazy to mean to myself. You know what I mean? That's what I meant. I was like, oh my gosh, this is my dad.
The behavior.
Behaviors. Yeah. That's what I meant. So that's why when I got clean and sober, I was able to when I let it go, like cause I was like, I don't need to hold on to that.
Yeah.
The best he could, what he knew, he hurt people. I'm breaking this though. And that's why now, when I describe how I used to be, people are like, there's no way you're like that. I was like, I was. I know you can't picture it because I'm like a walking ball, like colors now. Everybody, stage dive, But it is because of all the work I've done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that, because that
Yeah.
kind of rounds that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it now. Okay.
Yeah. We can't put this information underneath a table or underneath the bed and hoping that, it works through osmosis. It's like, it takes work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You want
A lot of
health,
work.
you want happiness, you want joy, you want wealth, you want success. It takes work.
Well, I'm just astonished that at what I would consider a really young age, you figured out a lot of stuff that a lot of adults have not figured out ever. And it's so regrettable that a lot of people get into their elderly years and they literally die without ever resolving this garbage.
Mhm.
And I don't care where you are on the age spectrum or socioeconomic spectrum, Fausto, you've really delivered
At 29.
some profound stuff. I have the feeling that you have a lot more to say, which we're about to get to, and you're going to have a lot more to say after that.
Yeah.
So, all right here on Post-Traumatic Thriving, where we die, survive, or thrive.
The choice is you.
The choice is yours.
It's up to you.
No, the choice is yours.
The choice is yours.
Yeah.
Thanks for supporting our podcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on your favorite social media. For books, merchandise, or to donate, visit CoreIQ.com. Post-Traumatic Thriving is produced by CoreIQ, a nonprofit with a mission to teach the life skills we all need but are not taught in school. CoreIQ and the Post-Traumatic Thriving podcast are for informational purposes only and do not provide medical or mental health advice. Always consult with your licensed medical and mental health care providers.